What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the WARFRAME video. So, I don't really want to call this a rant video today, but I just really need to get this off my chest. We've had the veilbreaker Archon sorties in the game for like over 6 months at this point, and we got a pity system added for the Tau shards from the Archon, which will basically increase your stats and all that. But I feel like a lot of people have been ignoring the normal rewards from these Archon hunts and how underwhelming they really are when we compare it to the daily version of this sortie. As this is a weekly mission, there is a daily mission as well that you can just do every single day, obviously. And it feels really underwhelming comparatively. So I'm going to be talking about that today. I'm going to show you some comparisons and stuff like that. And I'm also going to give some suggestions for what I think DE should do. I know this is not going to happen, but I just want to showcase that I've been thinking about this stuff. It does bother me, and it really feels. I feel like other people are affected by this too. It just is not as blatantly obvious. Before we get into though, make sure you're subbed to this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads, even when it's really slow, like right now. And also, we'll be covering the new stuff when Hildren Prime comes out on Wednesday and Deviri in April and all that. Also, check out the live stream channel. We'll be live later tonight with some Warframe and a sponsored stream. Really appreciate the support lately, guys. All right, so my entire point today is going to be the weekly loot versus the daily loot for Archon sorties. Now, I know calling it daily loot for Archon sorties is not exactly fair. There's a normal sortie and an Archon weekly sortie, and, you know, you technically do get a guaranteed Archon shard from the actual, Archon sortie. But when we look at what else you get, it's also considered a normal sortie too. So on the left, we have the weekly loot, and on the right, we have the daily loot. If you start reading this, you can already immediately see that there is a discrepancy here as far as a daily versus a weekly. The first couple rewards here, we have Ayaton Anasa Sculpture. And then on the daily, we also have Ayaton Anasa Sculpture. They will give you one Anasa Sculpture for completing this. There we go, right there. This is what you get from a weekly mission. Just a reminder, Anasa Sculpture is like 3,400 endo. So not only is it basically no endo, if you watched our meta endo guide from a couple days ago, we were getting that much endo in like 2 minutes. Here, I'll quickly show you that too. In about 2 minutes the other day, in the endo guide, 3,700 endo in 2.5 minutes. So right off the bat, we already have loot that does not feel worth it. Besides, I guess, technically the Archon shard. But again, you can get the Archon shard from Chipper too. So the only reason the Archon shard feels exciting to anyone out there is because this is the only place you can get it from. So right off the bat, that's already feeling bad. We have an Anasa Sculpture singular and an Anasa Sculpture singular from 2 different missions. They have much different durations of time they're available. So I'd say right off the bat, multiply the Archon sortie Anasa to 3. Make it 3 Anasa Sculptures for completing your weekly mission. It's a common drop anyway. You're likely to be getting that quite often. And if we look deeper in this list, some of the other things have been multiplied. So me saying multiply the Anasas is it's not too crazy if you ask me. So yeah, that'll be one of the things I'd say to go for. Multiply Anasa to 3. Now, of course, they are tradable, so maybe that's why DE slowed it down. But, dude, really? Why are we being that stingy? This is a game that they're basically asking for $120 or however much Prime Access costs every 3 months. And people buy it. They should be dropping loot on us like crazy. But again, there's lots of free-to-play players, so that's not an entirely fair argument. Moving on, we got Riven Mod. These both have singular Riven mods as possible rewards at the common reward. I don't know if there's any way to make it where you get 2 ribbons to drop, but I just feel like there's no reason a weekly and a daily loot should be the exact the exact same, number for number. There's no situation where a singular Riven mod and from a daily and singular Riven mod from a weekly should be on the same tier. So that's the common stuff. Those could honestly both just be multiplied, and I feel like it would just be an overall better feeling. When you complete an Archon sortie and you get something like this, a normal shard and endo, of course you wanted to get the Archon Tau shard in the first place, it's just a terrible feeling. That AK endo just blends in with the other drops, and it feels like you didn't even get a drop. You just get a normal shard. So terrible feeling there. DE should make their players feel rewarded. Remember, these Archon shards can't even be traded anyway, so it's not like that would be any problem in that sense. Moving on, we got 3-day booster. I feel like I never get these boosters to drop But would it be so terrible, DE, if you made the 3-day booster for the weekly a like 7-day booster, a 5-day booster, 7-day booster? Oh man, you got lucky, you got a booster. For the next week, you have a booster unlocked. Man, don't you love Warframe so much? Giving you doubled up resources for the next week. Good thing you played the Archon Sortie. You might have gotten a normal shard that you probably won't even use. But hey, at least you got a week-long booster. 3 days is just like, because the thing is, it feels like an insult when you get a booster from this stuff because it starts ticking down immediately. Immediately, guys. You don't get to like, if you're sleeping, you're basically wasting time on your booster. And that's how all the boosters work in this game. So, yeah, make that a week just so it's not a feels bad. It's like, oh, you just played the weekly, there's not much else to do. Well, get your 3-day booster going because unless you bought another one, that's already ticking down. So moving on to the first one that's been multiplied, we have 8K endo versus 4K endo. Honestly, I feel like they could triple it. It could be 12K endo or 10K endo, and it would not bother anybody at all. Maybe it would bother DE or something. But again, like I said, if you're doing the meta endo farms, that's about like 5 minutes of endo farming. And these missions take longer than 5 minutes, definitely. So, yeah, 8K endo is a feels bad. 4K endo is also a feels bad. It's like one tier 5 Zeramon bounty. That's like, you get the endo drop on it, so not a good feeling. As you can just see, a lot of this stuff is not a good feeling. And when you get a normal shard on top of it, it just feels like a, like, why did I even bother playing this? This loot sucks. We have a this loot sucks problem in Warframe a lot, it feels like. So moving on to what I got for this week when I screenshot this, I got 12K Kuva versus 6K Kuva. Now that we have Steel Essence so bottlenecked, honestly, I feel you could make this like, you could seriously pump these numbers up. Like, make it like 30K Kuva. Make this actually feel exciting when you do your weekly reset. None of this stuff is really screaming to me, oh man, that was exciting. That was worth signing in this week for. Because unless you get the Tau Shard or a Legendary Core, or for me, a mod drop booster, most of this stuff, if not all this stuff, is just underwhelming feeling. So we move on to the rare tier of stuff, which honestly, this stuff is relatively tame as far as rare stuff's concerned. We got Exilus Warframe Adapter, Orokin Catalyst Blueprint, and Orokin Reactor Blueprint. Notice how none of those are multiplied. We look at all this stuff on here, the only things that are actually multiplied compared to the daily and the weekly is the Endo, the Kuva, and for some reason the Forma is multiplied. It goes from singular Forma to 3x Forma for the weekly. I don't know why they chose that out of all things, but realistically, you could multiply the Exilus Adapter, the Orokin Catalyst, and the Orokin Reactor Blueprints to like 2x or 3x for this. I'm guessing they don't want to do that because that might cut into their bottom line of like making money, because people do buy those for plat. But at the same time, it's a rare reward, and I feel like I hardly ever get these. So, yeah. And as far as Legendary Core, maybe they could even up the drop rate of Legendary Cores in the Archon Sortie. I don't feel like there is an increase. I haven't like looked at like the drop rates or anything like that. But again, it's a daily versus a weekly. These are not supposed to be one-to-one like reward comparisons. If you take the Archon Shard out of this, which I know a big focus of it is the Archon Shard, but again, if you take the Archon Shard out of this, the loot is just like, it's baby loot pretty much. And the Archon Shard is going to be a potentially, well actually highly likely to be a non-Tau, which for me is not going to be on a final build at all. So, easy solution here will be multiplying most of this stuff. Anasa to 3x, Rivamod to 2x or something, Booster to 1 week, Endo to 10k, Kuva to 30k. Because we got bottleneck, I feel like upping the Kuva a lot would be appropriate. The Exilus Adapter, Orokin Catalyst, and Orokin Reactor Blueprint, I feel like they're just not going to multiply those because that's money to them. But again, they multiplied the Forma, and I'm sure people buy Forma for money too, so I don't know, where is the line? And Legendary Core, I'd probably just say increase the drop rate to like 2% or something. It's probably like 0.4% right now. And that will be a step in the right direction. We have the pity system. The pity system takes forever to actually take effect. If we take a quick look at the pity system for me, this is going to be... So I didn't get the Tau Shard I wanted this week. So I'm at 60%. And that's after doing like multiple, Archon resets. This is like one of the first times the pity system was actually in effect for me on the Amber Shard. So we have this. I doubt they'll ever change this again. I don't think they're going to add Tau Shard crafting. They're not going to add anything like that. So now that that's been moved past and pretty much will be never acknowledged ever again, it's for the actual reward pool I think should be looked at now as well. Make it so it feels like you're respecting your time. It's making signing into Warframe every week more exciting. They're trying to do more weeklies. Once Deviri comes out, there will be more weeklies to get your Incarnate adapters and stuff. Don't leave this in the dust. Sorties get left in the dust a lot in this game. It happens like every year, basically. Actually, no. They said they were going to update sorties a lot, like years ago. It never ended up happening. Nezha used to be farmable from sorties. The Gorgon Wraith used to drop from sorties. We got this system we have right now, and again, just like Borrow, it hasn't been touched in years. They just do their minimum viable product. Okay, just throw in the Anasta Sculpture, throw in the Singular Riven mod, just copy-paste over from this. It needs to feel better, in my opinion, just because it feels bad for lots of players that sign in every week to try this stuff out. So, I feel like a lot of people would agree with me on this. Let me know how you feel about it down in the comments down below. And before you say, this is for new players, no, it's not. You cannot even do this until you beat the new war, and you have to beat Zaramon and Veilbreaker. So you have to actually unlock, you have to beat every mission in the game and beat the new war, which requires a Railjack and a Necromech before you can do this. So before you say this is for new players, quit complaining. Just think about it for one more second, okay? Because you're wrong. This is actually unlocked after everything. The normal sortie, sure, that's unlocked after like the War Within or whatever. This is Veilbreaker, very, very late game. And, you know, these are relatively high-level missions, too. I mean, level 140 sentient enemies, so... I'll see you guys in the next video. See you on stream later tonight, and I appreciate the support. Take it easy. Peace!